Welcome to this tutorial on creating this Skitterstrand Arachnarok. I wanted to create the optical illusion that the spider and portal are floating above a marshy pond. I built it over 3 days. It's the second of these beasties that I've made. And they glow in the dark, which is so freaking awesome. Thanks, Whackin'. To give a sense of scale, these are some of the other Age of Sigmar miniatures in my collection. And the whole project started with this tree. So let's get going. I used Green Stuff World's 0.5mm tin wire. I cut it into 14 to 18 centimetre lengths. I wasn't too precious about this. I eventually had 15 or 16 wires. I took 2 or 3 wires and twisted into, let's call them strands. I ended up with 6 strands of different lengths and thicknesses. I took 3 strands and twisted them into, let's call it a branch. I ended up with 2 branches. I unfurled a thick paper clip, which will give structural integrity to the tree, and twisted the branches around it. The tree is then wrapped in masking tape. I mixed up a ball of brown stuff putty. It's a 2-part modelling putty like green stuff, which many modellers will be familiar with. I apply some sculptor's Vaseline to my modelling mat and roll the putty out. I can then cut it up and start adding it to the tree. And it ends up like this. So let's get started with the portal. I used a 9cm cookie cutter, covered the bottom in cling film and secured it with an elastic band. It's then on with the gloves. And I poured out about 1 tablespoon, 15ml of UV resin. I then mixed in 4 drops of Green Stuff World's fluorescent lime and poured it in. The front and back get about 3 minutes each with the UV torch to set the resin. I can then pull off the cling film and pop the portal out. The end result needs a little bit of cleaning up where the resin has leaked out. The brown stuff is setting so I can start texturing the bark. I drill holes into the base and feed the paperclip through and drill another hole and push it back out again. This gives a really sturdy hold. I then shape and attach another paper clip which will take the weight of the portal. I then assemble the upper torso of the spider. I mark up where I'll be cutting it and then it gets decapitated by my Dremel saw. The end result is a pretty clean cut. I then start assembling the legs. And begin dry fitting the spider to the portal. I create the structure of the base using air drying clay. Then it's time for bed. The clay has started drying nicely. I now work out how I'm going to fix the portal to the base using another paper clip. Max then takes me out for a walk. He shows me a few trees. It reminded me that bark is almost a creamy grey brown and the oak tree to the left is green with lichen. The end result isn't a million miles away. Anyway, back from the walk and I add some roots. I set up my spray booth. I start with Vallejo grey primer over the whole thing. For the bark I principally use Vallejo Model Air Light Brown as a base colour and IDF Sand from Above as a highlight. I used AK Interactive Wood Wash to get into the recesses, but the bark is darkened a bit too much, so I dry brush it with Citadel's Carrack Stone. Then randomly add Vallejo's Slimy Grime Oil Effects, some AK Interactive Moss deposits, and sparingly add some Vallejo Moss and Lichen. The colour there is quite intense. Later I'll add some Secret Weapon Faded Green Weathering Powder, dulled down with a bit of Greenstuff World's Wild Moss. The base is undercoated with Vallejo's Flat Earth, then covered all over in Vallejo's Earth texture. While it's wet I splodge on and blend in different mud effects. I then add Greenstuff World's Spectral Green Splash Gel to the edges of the portal to create the ethereal flames. This is the end result. I used a grass tuft to hide the paperclip. I add Spanish moss to the branches. This is made from cotton wool soaked in PVA glue and pulled apart into strands. It ends up like this. Onto the water. I used a German 2-part resin which will be coloured with Woodland Scenic's Moss Green water tint. The resin is carefully mixed to the right ratio by weight. I added the water tint and mixed it for 3 minutes. It's then poured into the base. The resin sets nicely overnight. I then start adding Greenstuff World's Splash Gel effect to the base. This is going to dry clear and create the impression of ripples on the pond. Max then took me to another wood. We spotted this lichen. It's a light sage green, and the Secret Weapon of Faded Green Weathering Powder is a really close match. We will start making reeds using this bush product made from horsehair. I apologise to the vegans. I remove a small amount of hair and mix brown stuff into it to hold it together into a clump. I trim off the end. I cut the reeds into random lengths. The brown stuff is sticky and flexible, so I can mould it into the base. When it dries, it will hold the reeds into place. I added 3 clumps of reeds, then a range of other tufts. This is the end result when everything has dried. So do you agree this is freaking awesome? Have I created the optical illusion that it's floating above the pond? Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening.